At the thrilling start, the professor raised the stakes, making him try with his left hand. He's a left-handed genius, rock steady, and even sealed the bottle backhand. Amazing. His skill level had the professor utterly amazed. I mean, even his college students had to take a backseat. And just like that, this janitor named Thomas was promoted to lab assistant the next day. But when his wife heard the news, her expression could only be described as the calm after the storm, because the assistant's pay was a staggering $12. Don't be misled by the title. His last job paid triple. Yet Thomas seems optimistic about this job's future. Turns out, he didn't stroll into the lab on a whim. He's been carrying that medical dream since he was a kid. After graduating high school, he put in a solid 7 years as a janitor just to save enough to enter the hallowed halls of medicine, but the road to his dreams. One day, he took the bus as usual past his familiar bank, only to find its usually open door was shut. Amid a crowd of complaints, a real-life snapshot. Unable to resist, he knocked on the door to uncover the mystery. The response? "Welcome to reality, son. The bank's gone belly up." After 7 years of hard work, his savings vanished with closed for business. He lost motivation and was totally adrift. That day, a friend helped him land a med school janitorial job. The pay was low, but closer to his dream, so Head cleaned dog pens willingly. Soon, Thomas won the professor's favor and became a lab assistant. Though paid a third of his prior salary, he relished it like discovering a new world. As a lab assistant, he could learn medicine better than as a janitor. Now, he's free to focus on studying. In the lab, he's absorbed. On the bus, deep in thought. On the street, buzzing with ideas, a true knowledge seeker. Everything has cause and effect. His passion and thirst for knowledge will bear fruit. Months later, he got the chance to do it himself. During a traumatic shock experiment, the professor drew a line on a comatose puppy and ordered Thomas to make the incision on it. He rose to the occasion, looking like a surgical pro. With impressive skill, he made the incision in the puppy's belly. As the professor observed the blood pressure dropping, he started explaining that the traditional method was supposed to constrict blood vessels. But years of research showed that method didn't have a high success rate. So he boldly decided to break from tradition and try something different. As Thomas followed the professor's instructions, he found blood pressure still dropping, suggesting the research might fail. Just when he was about to give up, a miracle happened. The blood pressure began to rise. It was a sign of life coming back, and they couldn't help but share a note. At that moment, the professor sought to check work records, but found no trace of the recorder after looking around. After asking around, he learned that Thomas didn't even know what a record was. This sent the professor into a rage, and he let slip a few choice words. This made the professor realize that the beacon he once thought he had was merely flickering. Those sudden curse words left a hurtful mark amidst the harsh reality. Ultimately, disappointment and anger drove him from his dreamland, but the professor unexpectedly found his work records. The notes detailed every step of the surgery perfectly, far surpassing the standard for records. When the professor realized he had misjudged Thomas, he hurried outside to apologize. Not only was he full of apologies, but he also promised to do better in the future. This was a rare show of humility that moved Thomas, especially considering how tough things were for black people in the 1930s. Seeing the lofty white professor beg humbly, Thomas' dignity was fulfilled and he forgave him. Subtitles: the scalpel-artery combo was officially formed. The professor was a sharp knife, Thomas the life-restoring artery. During their upcoming 12 years of collaboration, they made groundbreaking strides in the field of traumatic shock, swiftly passing down their findings to battlefield hospitals, giving many severely wounded soldiers a second. So frontline generals returned from the North African battlefield to thank Professor Barnock and announced his appointment as head of Hopkins Surgery Department. However, the fame and fortune professor was the big winner at the banquet, just having Thomas serve tea quietly. Even though the banquet shattered his heart, Thomas had no plans to leave the professor's side. His dreams mattered more than fame. So they quickly moved to Hopkins Medical School in Detroit, a place Thomas had dreamed about since he was a child. The hallway leading to the department was adorned with portraits of legendary figures in medicine, like a museum of dreams coming to life. The professor confidently said, "One day, my name will be on this blue wall." Thomas also harbored the same hope, but then the guard made him clock in through the back door. All staff had to enter through the back door, and even pressures from the professor as head surgeon proved futile. It was the academy's tradition since its inception. So Thomas left the hall, sneaking out like a shrimp via the back door, leaving the equality symbolizing Jesus statue more dimmed. After clocking in at the back and donning a white coat, he faced skepticism from black peers and stares from whites. Judgment and prejudice constantly criticized this path forward while stifling the hopes of many black individuals. While he was moving equipment in the lab, a white doctor mistook him for a temporary janitor and bluntly ordered him to grab some bread and coffee. It's both laughable and frustrating. Even in this top medical institution prioritizing ability, skin color prejudice remains deep-rooted. Luckily, not everyone holds such bias. Dr. Helen Taussig enjoyed chatting with Thomas, telling him she specialized in cardiology and often treated blue baby syndrome. This condition mainly results from congenital heart defects causing insufficient lung blood supply, leading to a bluish-purple body. The kids born with this were basically labeled as having a terminal illness, but science was steadily moving forward. Dr. Helen invited the professor to join forces to tackle this tricky condition. The professor agreed instantly, having contracted tuberculosis at 29. X-rays revealed a large puncture in his left lung. He lay in a cold sanatorium, lifeless, clinging to life daily. He vowed that if he survived, he'd do something great to give back to those struggling through the dark. Now tackling blue baby syndrome was that great thing, and as infant hearts are too small for observation and experiments, the professor proposed replicating the syndrome in puppies before seeking solutions. Moreover, as infants' blood vessels are only 3 mm wide, using current equipment guarantees failure. The professor asked Thomas to use his carpentry skills to make a small blood vessel device and a ventilator, unaware Thomas was utterly worn out. After work daily, Thomas moonlighted as a handyman for 2 hours to support his family. His wife, seeing his hardship, intended to work but faced a dilemma in caring for their daughter. Thomas, helpless in current life struggles, soothed his wife with comforting words. If you enjoyed this story, consider subscribing to my channel. I'll keep bringing you more exciting tales.